On the night before the flight, as the suitcases stood neatly packed in the corner of my room, I picked up my phone and dialed my real estate agent. "Hi, Mark. List the Elm Street house for an urgent sale first thing tomorrow morning. That's right. Give everyone currently living there 30 days to move out. No exceptions." On the other end of the line, my mother's voice screeched through the speakerphone, distorted with fury. "You ungrateful brat. Would it kill you to stay home and watch your sister's kids? This Hawaii trip is way more important for her than it is for you." And my father's voice boomed in from the background, cold as a final judgment. "You have to make sacrifices for your family." I didn't cry. I just quietly hung up. They had no idea that 5 years of my sweat and tears and the $30,000 I saved were never meant to turn me into an unpaid servant. Did they really think they could steal my dream without paying a price? Tonight, they are about to lose something 10 times bigger. My name is Sarah. I'm 29 years old, and I work as a financial analyst in Seattle. If you looked at my life from the outside, you'd see an independent woman with a stable job and a great income. But behind closed doors, my family never treated me like a real daughter. In that house, every bit of attention, love, and affection was showered on my older sister, Jessica. She's 2 years older than me and has never had to work hard for anything in her life. Jessica got married young, had 3 children, and whenever her life spiraled into a mess because of her laziness and dependency, I was the one forced to shoulder all the burden. My parents, Robert and Margaret, always treated Jessica like the center of the universe. And me? I was their backup wallet, their problem solver, and the one who constantly had to hear that familiar line, "You make good money, so it's your responsibility to take care of your sister." For the past 5 years, I worked tirelessly, often putting in up to 60 hours a week. I pinched every penny, scrimped, and saved until I accumulated $30,000. My sole purpose was to sponsor an all-inclusive 5-star vacation to Maui, Hawaii for the entire family. I naively dreamed of the moment we'd all sit together on the beach, putting our past conflicts behind us, to finally become a close-knit family. I thought that if I sacrificed enough, if I proved my worth, my parents would finally acknowledge me and love me the same way they loved Jessica. But that heartfelt dream was ruthlessly crushed right before takeoff. If you are listening to this story and have ever been betrayed by your own family, please leave me a strong comment down below. Your encouragement and shared stories truly give me the strength to stand tall and fight through this chapter. And don't forget to subscribe to Revenge Mosquito to stay by my side on this journey for justice. Just 2 weeks before our departure date, the atmosphere in my family suddenly became unusually warm. It was a feeling of false peace that I hadn't experienced in years. My mother kept texting me, asking what I liked to eat so she could cook it herself. My father even patted my shoulder in front of everyone, praising me for being a caring, dutiful daughter. At the time, my heart was filled with warmth. I told myself that every sacrifice, every sleepless night spent working over the past 5 years was completely worth it. I had personally booked the highest level of luxury services, from business class plane tickets for the entire family to 2 separate beachfront villas at a premier resort in Maui. I wanted my parents to enjoy the best of everything, and I wanted Jessica and her husband to have a relaxing break. But if I had looked closer, I would have noticed the warning signs brewing beneath their smiles. The first was my mother. She started calling me every day, but her questions always revolved around the details of the flight and hotel reservations. She kept asking strange questions. "Sarah, can those business class tickets be transferred to someone else's name before the flight?" Or, "That beachfront villa is so big, if extra guests stay with us, will the resort charge more?" When I questioned why she was asking, she just laughed it off and waved her hand, claiming she only wanted to understand the policies to avoid any trouble during check-in. The second red flag came from Jessica. During a family dinner the weekend before the trip, Jessica casually sipped a glass of fine wine I had bought for the table. She looked at me with an odd smile and sighed. "Finally, next week I get a real break without having to worry about the kids. It's been so long since I felt this relieved." At the time, I simply assumed Jessica and her husband had hired a babysitter for their 3 young kids, or dropped them off at her in-laws. I had zero suspicion because the flight and resort reservations only listed my parents, myself, Jessica, and her husband. The kids weren't included because Jessica had previously complained that traveling with small children was far too stressful. I wallowed in that naive delusion, completely blind to the ruthless trap they had set long ago. They never saw me as a companion on this trip. In their eyes, I was nothing more than a walking credit card and a gentle lamb being led to the slaughter. On the night before the flight, at exactly 10 p.m., everything was ready. My suitcase stood neatly packed in the corner, filled with bright summer outfits I had eagerly prepared over the past month. I sat on my bed, staring at the electronic boarding pass with my name on it, too restless to sleep. Right then, my bedroom door swung open. My mother walked in. But unlike her warm demeanor over the last few days, her face was stone cold, devoid of any emotion. She stood at the edge of my bed, looked down at me with an indifferent gaze, and spoke. "Sarah, I discussed it with your father and sister. You don't need to go on this trip anymore." I froze, thinking I had misheard her. "What are you talking about, Mom?" "What do you mean I'm not going?" My mother clicked her tongue, showing her impatience. "Your sister Jessica is under so much pressure lately. Her husband's business failed, they fight all the time, and her 3 kids are crying constantly. Jessica needs this trip far more than you do. So, you're staying home to babysit your 3 nieces and nephews, so your sister and her husband can go blow off some steam." I stood up in shock, my heart hammering against my chest. "What on earth are you saying? This trip was bought with my own money. I've worked myself to the bone for 5 years to afford this vacation." Hearing the argument, my father walked into the room. He didn't look remorseful at all. Instead, he glared at me with a threatening look. Crossing his arms, he sneered, "Stop being so selfish, Sarah. So what if you made the money? You're single and alone. What difference does it make if you go or not? Your sister is on the verge of a breakdown. Your mother already transferred your ticket into Jessica's mother-in-law's name so she can go with them." My father's words felt like a bucket of ice water poured directly over my head, leaving my entire body numb. They weren't just forcing me to stay behind as an unpaid babysitter for 3 children. They had secretly stolen my ticket and handed it to my sister's mother-in-law. I looked into my parents' eyes, searching for even a sliver of guilt or compassion, but there was absolutely none. Standing in front of me were people who viewed my sacrifices as something owed to them, using my blood, sweat, and tears as nothing more than fuel to cater to their golden child. My father delivered one final blow before turning his back. "You need to learn to make sacrifices for this family. If you refuse to stay home and watch the kids this time, don't you ever call us your parents again." The bedroom door slammed shut. The room fell into a terrifying silence. I stood frozen in the middle of the room, staring at my half-packed suitcase. The unbearable heartbreak ignited into a roaring fire of rage in my chest. The fake peace was officially over. I collapsed onto the floor, my head spinning. In a matter of minutes, the trust and love I had held for my family for nearly 30 years completely shattered. But the heartbreak was quickly replaced by burning fury as I opened my laptop to check the booking system. When I logged into my travel portal account, I was horrified to realize my mother hadn't just snuck the reservation code. She had gone through my desk, stolen my personal information and credit card details, and impersonated me over the phone to transfer my plane ticket to Jessica's mother-in-law. They didn't stop there. They had also added premium in-flight dining options and extra baggage fees, all charged directly to my credit card. They had calculated every single detail. This was no impulsive act. It was a meticulous plan they had been scheming for weeks. I stormed out of my room and headed straight to the living room, where Jessica was casually painting her nails and scrolling on her phone. Seeing my bloodshot eyes, Jessica showed zero fear or remorse. She just pursed her lips, admired her freshly painted fingernails, and spoke in a mocking tone. "What's the matter, Sarah? It's just a plane ticket. Stop acting like it's the end of the world. What's the point of making money if you don't help your family? Do you have any idea how exhausting it is raising 3 kids? A lonely spinster with no husband and no kids. Why do you even need a vacation?" I trembled with rage. What right do you have to use my credit card? Do you have any idea how hard I worked for the past 5 years? Jessica stood up, stepped closer to me, her smile twisting into pure contempt. Hard work? That was your choice. Mom and Dad said it themselves. Your money comes from this family anyway. If this family hadn't raised you and paid for your education, where would you get that job? Stop being so selfish. What's the point of hoarding all that money when you can't even get a man to love you? Jessica's words cut into my heart like sharp knives, but right at that moment, something miraculous happened. The pain inside me suddenly vanished. A wave of ice-cold clarity washed over my entire body. I looked at my sister standing arrogantly in front of me, and at my parents standing in the hallway, nodding along in agreement with her insults. I realized a bitter truth. To these greedy, ruthless people, my gentleness and forgiveness were nothing more than weaknesses to exploit. Trying to reason with them was completely useless. I took a deep breath, refusing to shed another tear. A faint smile crossed my face, a smile that felt foreign even to me. I looked straight into Jessica's eyes and said, "You're right. Money is made to serve the family. Have a wonderful vacation." I turned on my heel, walked back into my room, and locked the door behind me. Outside, my family chatted and laughed, believing I had surrendered and accepted my fate as their servant. They had no idea that the moment I closed that door, I activated a devastating counterstrike they would never see coming. Midnight. The house fell completely silent, save for the eager snoring of people anticipating tomorrow's trip. I sat in front of my computer screen, the blue light illuminating my cold, expressionless face. I opened my banking app and travel portal. The first thing I did was block all credit cards my mother had compromised. I reported the ticket name changes and extra service add-ons as fraudulent transactions. The bank immediately froze the cards and reversed all charges. Next, I logged into my primary account on the airline and resort booking portals in Maui. As the person who paid 100% of the $30,000 cost and the original account holder, I had full control. I calmly clicked the button, cancel all reservations and refund. Within minutes, confirmation emails canceling the 5 business class tickets and 2 luxury villas in Hawaii hit my inbox. The entire $30,000 was refunded directly back into my personal bank account. They thought they had stolen my vacation, but in reality, they were holding useless pieces of paper. But my payback didn't stop there. Canceling the trip was just a minor warning shot. The most devastating blow they were about to face was in the very place where they lay sleeping so peacefully. This house. This 4-bedroom home in an expensive suburban neighborhood of Seattle was bought entirely out of my own pocket 4 years ago, following a wildly successful financial investment. Out of sympathy for my aging parents and wanting to give my sister a stable roof after her bankruptcy, I bought the house under my name and let the whole family move in completely rent-free. For 4 years, they lived in this house without paying a single penny in rent. Over time, greed and arrogance made them forget who the actual owner was. They assumed it was the family home, disrespecting me under the very roof where I paid every utility bill. I dialed Mark, my personal real estate agent. Even though it was nearly 1 a.m., Mark picked up because he knew I was a high-value client. I spoke in a calm but razor-sharp voice. "Mark, I want you to list the house on Elm Street for sale first thing tomorrow morning. Make it an urgent sale. Send an eviction notice to the occupants giving them exactly 30 days to clear out entirely." The next morning at 5 a.m., the clattering of suitcases and cheerful chatter from my parents and Jessica's couple echoed through the living room. They dragged their bags toward the door, not forgetting to leave the 3 sleeping kids on the sofa for me. My father knocked twice on my door, calling out in a condescending tone, "The kids are asleep. When you wake up, make sure to cook for them. We're off to the airport." I didn't even bother opening the door. I just lay in bed and quietly smiled. I looked at the clock. It was now 6 a.m. It would take them about 45 minutes to reach Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, proudly strutting up to the check-in counter, expecting a free 5-star vacation. They had no idea that the worst nightmare of their lives was only just beginning. At exactly 6:45 a.m., at the business class check-in counter of Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, My parents, Jessica and her husband, and her mother-in-law strutted in, dragging a mountain of luggage behind them. Dressed in their finest clothes, they laughed and chatted loudly, beaming like VIP guests, getting ready for a 5-star Hawaiian vacation. Jessica's mother-in-law kept showering praise on how generous Jessica and her husband were, while my mother puffed her chest out with pride, stealing all the credit for herself. They confidently approached the priority check-in counter. My mother pulled out the electronic booking code she had secretly snapped a photo of from my laptop, offering a proud smile to the airline agent. The agent smiled politely, took the information, and began typing on her keyboard. But just a few seconds later, her smile vanished. She frowned, stared at her monitor, and then looked back up at the 5 people standing before her. "May I ask, which one of you is Ms. Sarah?" the agent asked politely. My mother waved her hand dismissively and answered, "She's my daughter. She was busy at home so she couldn't make it. I'm her mother, and this is the booking code she bought for us." The agent sighed, her expression turning stern yet sympathetic. "Ma'am, I am sorry to inform you that all 5 business class tickets were directly canceled by the primary account holder, Ms. Sarah, at midnight last night. The full amount was refunded to her personal bank account. Additionally, our system received a fraud alert regarding the credit cards attached to this file. As of right now, you do not have seats on this flight." The agent's words detonated like a bomb right in the middle of the airport terminal. My mother's eyes bulged, her face turning pale. "What? What nonsense are you talking about? How dare my daughter cancel those tickets? Do you know who we are? Check again immediately." "I have double-checked, ma'am. The reservation is completely canceled. If you still wish to board this flight, you will need to purchase new tickets right here at the counter," the agent calmly replied. Jessica pushed her way forward anxiously. "Then sell us 5 new tickets immediately." The agent typed on her computer and quoted the price. "The last-minute business class fare to Maui this morning is $3,800 per ticket. For 5 people, the total comes to $19,000. Jessica's husband went pale and secretly pulled out his personal credit card to swipe it. But a harsh decline tone chimed out. Insufficient funds. He had been broke for a long time. Where was he going to find nearly $20,000? Jessica's mother-in-law realized something was terribly wrong. Her expression shifted from joy to sheer anger and disgust. "Jessica, what on earth is going on? You told me your family fully sponsored this luxury trip. Now you're making me stand here looking like a complete fool?" All around them, dozens of passengers turned to stare, pointing and whispering. My father, who cared about his pride more than anything in life, flushed bright red with embarrassment. He turned to my mother, gritting his teeth. "Call Sarah right now, immediately." Trembling, my mother pulled out her phone and dialed my number. This time, I didn't make them wait. I pressed answer. The second I answered, my mother's ear-splitting screech came blasting through the phone. "Sarah, what the hell did you do? Why were the plane tickets canceled? Do you have any idea how embarrassed we are standing at the airport? Open your laptop and rebook those tickets right now." I calmly took a sip of my coffee and spoke in an even voice. "Mom, last night you and Dad told me this trip was far more important for Jessica than for me. You said I didn't need to go. Since I was the one paying for it, when I decided not to go, I simply took my money back. Is there something wrong with that? You ungrateful monster." My mother shrieked into the phone. "How dare you ruin the entire family's vacation over your own petty selfishness?" Right at that moment, my father's phone rang loudly. He snatched it out of his pocket and put it on speaker, assuming it was the travel agency calling to fix the issue. But on the other end was the poised professional voice of Mark, my attorney and real estate agent. "Hello, Mr. Robert. I am calling to officially notify you that the house on Elm Street has been publicly listed for sale by its sole owner, Miss Sarah, as of 6 a.m. today. Formal notice to vacate papers giving you 30 days to move out have been sent to your email and posted on the front door. Please pack your belongings and hand over the premises on time." My father's face drained completely of color. He nearly dropped his phone onto the floor. Snatching the phone back from my mother, his voice trembled uncontrollably. "Sarah, this house belongs to you?" I smiled, delivering every word with razor-sharp authority. "That's right, Dad. 4 years ago, I used my own savings and investments to buy that house outright. I let you, Mom, and Jessica's family live there rent-free because I thought we were a family. But you treated it like your entitled property, disrespecting me under the very roof where I paid every single utility bill." Jessica lunged toward the phone, sobbing hysterically. "Sarah, I'm begging you. You can't do this. What about my 3 kids? They're at home all by themselves." I responded casually, "Don't worry. I hired a professional babysitter to care for the kids today, funded by the money I recovered. But starting tomorrow, that's your responsibility." "And you? Where are you?" my mother whimpered, her voice dripping with sheer despair. I stood up, looking out the glass window of the VIP business class lounge. "I'm at the boarding gate, getting ready to catch my flight to Santorini to enjoy my own vacation. You, Dad, and Jessica should use the next 30 days to hunt for a cheap rental apartment. Have a wonderful day." I hung up, powered down my phone, and stepped onto the plane with a smile, leaving behind the screaming, tears, and utter chaos of people who thought they could walk all over me. My solo trip to Santorini healed every piece of heartbreak inside me. For the first time in my life, I felt what absolute freedom and genuine inner peace truly meant. A year has passed since that stormy day, and my life has completely turned a new leaf. The house on Elm Street was successfully sold for $1.2 million. I used those funds to continue investing in real estate and treated myself to a luxury condo overlooking Seattle Bay, a quiet, warm sanctuary built exclusively for me. As for my family, brutal reality dragged them back down to earth. Without a spacious house to live in for free, and without anyone paying their monthly bills, their world crumbled rapidly. My parents and Jessica's couple had to pool their money just to rent a tiny, cramped 2-bedroom apartment in a run-down suburb. The lack of space and crushing financial pressure turned their daily lives into a relentless nightmare. Unable to handle the overwhelming debt and his wife's endless nagging, Jessica's husband filed for divorce and walked out. Jessica, the woman who once looked down on me, now struggles working 2 low-wage jobs every day just to feed her 3 young children. My parents now live with deep, futile regret. They tried reaching out multiple times, sending desperate messages begging for help, but I changed my phone number and blocked them across all social media platforms. I hold no resentment anymore, but I chose to cut ties completely to protect my own peace. Through everything I went through, I learned a vital lesson I want to share with you. Family should be a sanctuary filled with mutual love and respect, not an excuse for people to exploit and manipulate you. Unconditional sacrifice for greedy people will never touch their hearts. It will only make their entitlement more ruthless. Sometimes, having the courage to turn your back and set firm boundaries isn't selfish. It's the only way to save your own life. Never let anyone, even your closest relatives, trample on your self-worth and the fruits of your hard labor. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Please always love and protect yourselves.